Welcome to today's video. The Bay Psalm book was sold for a whopping $14.2 million to set a world record. Believed to be the first book published in the US, the work became the most expensive printed book after it was auctioned in New York in November 2013. The Independent reported. Dating from 1640, the book was published in Cambridge, Massachusetts by Congregationalist Puritans after they translated the original Hebrew Psalms into English. Prior to the auction, the Bay Psalm book was estimated to sell for $15 million to $30 million. U.S. philanthropist David Rubenstein secured the book with his winning bid at Sotheby's. He plans to share it with the American public by loaning it to libraries across the country, before putting it on long-term loan at one of them, according to Sotheby's. Auctioneers told how the book was sold by Boston's Old South Church, where the Boston Tea Party originated and founding father Benjamin Franklin was baptized. Around 1,700 copies were originally printed and the Old South Church still held one other it intended to keep. The 11 surviving versions of the 1,700 originally printed are in institutional collections, including Harvard, Yale, Oxford, the New York Public Library and the Huntington Library in California. However, there are multiple printing and translation errors within the editions, leading to early criticism about the Bay Psalm book's quality. It was noted 200 years ago by publisher and author Isaiah Thomas that the compositor must have been wholly ignorant with punctuation to produce a work that thrives with typographical errors. Nonetheless, another copy of the book sold for $151,000 in 1947 to set a record that beat prices paid for a Shakespeare First Folio and Gutenberg Bible. The most expensive book ever sold was a handwritten Leonardo da Vinci notebook that went for $30.8 million in 1994. The Bay Psalm book is a translation of the biblical Psalms by the Puritans and was a vital part of their church service. It's so very valuable because it is the beginning of Western civilization in our country, said David Rubenstein, vice chairman of Sotheby's. In fact, it is the first poetry in America. It's as simple as that, CNN reported. According to CNN, the auctioned book is from the collection of the Old South Church in Boston, Massachusetts, which had it for more than 300 years. It is one of 2 copies in their possession, with the sale intended to support its mission and ministry in Boston. Congregationalist Puritans, who settled around Massachusetts Bay in search of religious freedom, wanted to translate and produce a version of the Book of Psalms closer to the Hebrew original than the one they had brought over from England. The first edition of the Bay Psalm book sale is the first time since 1947 and the second time since 1894 that a copy has appeared at auction. In 1947, it attained a higher price than any other book printed at the time, when Sotheby's sold it for $151,000. This little book of 1,640 was a precursor to Lexington and Concord, and, ultimately, to American political independence, Rubenstein said. With it, New England declared its independence from the Church of England. The November 2013 sale eclipses the preceding auction record for a printed book, at Sotheby's London, when a copy of John James Audubon's Birds of America sold for $11.5 million in 2010, the auction house said. According to Wikipedia, the Bay Psalm book was the first book printed in British North America. The book is a metrical psalter, first printed in 1640 in Cambridge, Massachusetts. A metrical psalter is a kind of Bible translation, a book containing a musical translation of all or part of the Book of Psalms in vernacular poetry, meant to be sung as hymns in a church. The Psalms in it are musical translations into English. The translations are not refined, and not one has remained in use, although some of the tunes to which they were sung have survived. However, its production, just 20 years after the Pilgrims' arrival at Plymouth, Massachusetts, represents a significant accomplishment. It went through several editions and remained in use for over a century. The book is one of 11 known surviving copies. According to Wikipedia, the buyer, David Rubenstein is an American financier and philanthropist best known as the co-founder and co-executive chairman of the Carlyle Group, a global private equity investment company based in Washington, D.C. He also serves as chairman of the Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts, chairman of the Smithsonian Institution, and president of the Economic Club of Washington, D.C. He is ranked on Forbes' billionaire list of 2018 at a net worth of approximately $3 billion. Rubenstein grew up an only child in a Jewish family in a Jewish neighborhood in Baltimore. His beginnings were modest. His father was employed by the United States Postal Service and his mother was a homemaker. He graduated from the college preparatory high school Baltimore City College, at the time an all-male school, and then Duke University Phi Beta Kappa and magna cum laude in 1970. He earned his law degree from the University of Chicago Law School in 1973, where he was an editor of the University of Chicago Law Review. Rubenstein lives in Bethesda, Maryland, and was married to Alice Rubenstein, founder of the Alaska House New York and the Alaska Native Arts Foundation and former owner of Alaska Dispatch News. They met while Rubenstein was working for the Carter administration and were married on May 21, 1983. The couple divorced on December 8, 2017. Thank you for watching.